Randall is our principal. She's sitting in on today. And then we have Miss Anderson. She said back down. She is our intern for our counseling program this school year. And so we're just coming to give you information. The first part will be more about our Title I services. And then the second part will be a caring component about how to handle conflict and how to teach your students how to handle conflict. So beginning, we have 5 interventionists. We have Dr. Brown, who works with grades 2 and 3. Mr. Johnson, who you saw, who is the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. He works primarily with the 6th graders in the Learning Center. Mrs. Linnell works with 4th grade. She's over there serving food. Ms. Calvin, who just left out, she works with 5th grade, and she's in that Learning Center there. And then Mrs. Hoosier works with our primary K1. So you're probably asking, what is Title I? So Title I is part of the Elementary Secondary Act, and basically it holds us accountable to make sure that no scholar falls through the cracks. So if there's a scholar that is struggling and needs academic support, it gives us the funding to be able to meet the needs of that student. So you may hear your student come home and say, I had interventions today for 30 minutes with Mrs. Hoosier. What are they doing there? They're working on skills that they may not get in the classroom to help close those gaps so that they can be on grade. Are there any questions there? Yeah. So we actually do both, but as far as Title I, that is just academics. But we also do help students who have behavior issues, and we have different programs for that as well. And if your scholar gets put into one of these groups, you should receive a letter. It'll say at the top, notice of Title I services. It'll tell you exactly the day and the time in which interventionist is seen. So you should know. So with any funding that you get, there are certain restrictions that you have to have. And so we sent home, actually, Ms. Brandon had at the signing table, a Title I combat. Some of you were filling it out. It basically just says how we're going to work together, what the student is going to commit to do, what the school is going to commit to do, and what parents are going to commit to do. So we are all on one page. Also, you should have gotten a mail probably last week, a parent writes a no letter. That just says that anytime we have a substitute in the building that is instructing your child for more than 4 weeks, we're going to let you know. And we're going to let you know their credentials. We're going to let you know that they are qualified to teach your style. So if a teacher's on maternity leave and we have a substitute in there for that 6-week time, you will know the stuff, you will know what degrees they hold, you will know what their specialty is. So that's just saying that we get that information out there. And we just want to make sure that you sign those parent compacts because we have to have them on file before you leave today. Are there any questions with that? So we talked a little bit about the blocks. So how do we know if your child is struggling? We use different types of assessments. If they're primary, kindergarten, and 3rd grade, we use M5 skills. You may have heard your student come home and talk about, I'm green in reading or I'm yellow in math. That is the assessment that we use. And if our scholars are red, that means they are intensive. And so that is where we put that extra support in place because we want them to make their goals. They take those tests 3 times a year. The beginning we just finished in August. They then take the middle of the year, which is going to be in December before they leave before winter break, and then they'll take one at the very close. And so they have all year to hit their target level. Groups change out every 4 weeks based on that. So you will know if your kid is entering a group, if your kid is leaving a group, and how they're doing. And you can call at any time. You can ask for me, and I will get you connected directly to their intervention. On your handout, I put the slides. There are dozens of resources that you can use at home. There are tons of questions that we get all the time. What can I do for my scholar at home? Can I buy a workbook? Are they online? So I just listed a bunch of different resources for both reading and for math that you can use at home to help your students extend their learning. Okay. And then there are also 3 online subscriptions that we have. If your scholar is 3 through 6, they have an Achieve 3000 password. They should know that by now. If they don't, give me a call. I will send it home on an index card for them. But they should know their Achieve password by now. Ticket to Read is a program for lower elementary, and I do have those passwords if you want it. If you know that your scholar is intensive, if you have a question, they do have login information for that. It's fun. It's like a game. They read, they do their fluency, they answer questions, and they get to build a clubhouse. So it's kind of like a virtual reality. They really like that. And then MobiMax is the math, which if they're on MobiMax, they know the password because the teachers use it every single day. They can use that at home for extra practice. So if they come home and say they don't have any homework, you can always ask them about one of these 3 programs, and you can give them homework, and it's our basic. Are there any questions there?
What grade is the MobiMax?
The MobiMax is K through 6. Everybody has MobiMax. Yep. The Achieve is 3 through 6, and then the Ticket to Read is K through 6.
What's the password for?
So they should know their Achieve password. If they're a Ticket to Read, I can give you that. I can send them. And MobiMax, they should know. They know it. They use it after school. If they're after school programs, Ms. Miranda.
I think it's just their first name is the username and the password.
Got it. First name is the username and the password for MobiMax. Any other questions?
Oh, Ms. Miller, if
Yeah.
they get on MobiMax, it'll say your school code. That's IN855. You might want to put that down.
IN855.
Yeah. Put that in.
So you fill out raffle tickets. I'm gonna go pull a ticket. We're gonna raffle off a few things, and then it should be on the side for each student. Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Brady. The candles are
The Ringgold family.
Ringo family. You can come and pick an item from the table. Do one more. You can't do two.
Leonardo.
Oh.
So pick a prize from the table. You're welcome.
Look at that much
You can take it. It's still back. Yep. Good job. All right. Also, Ms. Johnson is here. She is our family coordinator. There's a PTO meeting on.
We're actually gonna have to reschedule it. I haven't met that night yet.
Well, she's
So
going to
it
get
will
that
probably be the
information.
second Thursday in October.
So I know they are looking at recruiting members. All right, I'm going to go check on your babies, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Johnson.
Second Thursday. Yeah, we're gonna send home save the dates and phone calls and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for coming. Let me introduce myself a little bit. My name is Mr. Grazian. Half your children know me as Mr. Grazian. The other half just say Mr. G. Either way, it's fine. I'll answer to both. I've been here this is my 2nd year as counselor. At the other Lighthouse building, I did 7th and 8th grade social studies. Love it over here. I've been in Indiana this is my 6th year with my family. We moved from Oregon. I have 3 kids, 2 daughters and a son. So 11 and 8 and 5. They're all coming up on birthdays, so I have to always think about that. But my passion here is that we would keep our kids safe. That they would be safe in school, that they would be safe at home, at the park, wherever they are. And so I have some good friends over in Oregon where I grew up most of my life. And they have started a company called the Safe Empowered Child. And they came up with some videos, some activities, some talks that you can have with your kids about the hard issues. Things that are kind of scary to talk about sometimes. Abuse, neglect, all different kinds of abuse. I went to a class today, left school for a couple hours, went to a class, and it was on human trafficking. And it's a growing thing here in Indiana. Like, kids that some of us we know are trafficked. And it's not, if it's not just physical trafficking, and there's some kids around, so I'm not gonna be very specific, but it's not just physical trafficking, it's like labor trafficking as well. They work for somebody, they're called a nanny, and they take care of kids, but they don't get paid for it. And that's not like your niece comes over and helps you out with your kids. That's not that. It's that they're kids that they don't want to do it ever, but they're forced to do it. And so to stop those sort of things, that's why we're starting these conversations at night. And I am in no way an expert on everything having to do with conflicts. So we want to invite you guys to have dialogue, to have conversation with us, so we can glean from you. We can know what you do at home, and so maybe the school would be a little bit better. I and my different groups and programs would be a little bit better, and we'll share what we do here at school, so maybe at home it would be a little bit easier. So to start out with, I'm gonna show you a video on the Safe and Empowered Child introduction. I'm going to skip around a little bit on it though, so we don't have to watch the whole thing. But let me give you some statistics really quick. There's 36% of victims are from immediate families. Those are people that are trafficked in some form or another. Okay, so 36% are from immediate family. And 29% are boyfriend or girlfriend. So as your kids get older, you know, even 12-year-olds, they have boyfriend, girlfriend, and somehow it's not the boyfriend's, girlfriend's intent to just have a close friend. It's their intent to exploit them in some way. And so they move on from, hey, we're really close, we're really nice, and then they move on to other things, which is not good for your kids. And then we have all the way down to 14% employers. As your kids get older, they're middle schoolers, high schoolers, they're starting to get jobs. Well, some of those employers aren't safe. So you really have to look and be aware about what the signs are. How can you spot somebody that's unsafe? And then, even just a few months ago, I'm right on the border inside Franklin Township is where my house is. And we heard on the news, it was on Facebook, that there was this white van driving around Franklin Township, and the person in the car was trying to get little girls and boys into the van. Hey, let's go, want to go for a drive with me? That's scary. That's scary stuff. And so we're trying to have conversations with our kids, learn about how we have conversations with our kids, to not scare them, but to be real and be realistic. Say, okay, you need to do this when the person in the white van drives up. You know, don't be rude, but be very assertive and get away from it. And other peeps and bullies that are out there, that they need to know how to stay away and to be alert. So that's kind of what we're doing. How do we as adults, as parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, protect our kids and keep them safe? And more than that, how do we empower them to be responsible for themselves, even at a young age? So that's what we're doing. Let me show you a little video clip here from my friends over at Safe and Empowered Child. And I know people say that, but they actually are my friends. This guy, Christopher, stayed with us for him and his, 7 kids? Stayed with me and my family this summer for about a week.
Our children call out to our humanity at the deepest places, the most precious places. And part of learning how to love them well is learning how to teach them that they've always been worthy of being loved, that they can be comfortable inside their own skin, and that there is a way to be safe.
The only way we will defeat these powerful covert giants of bullying and abuse is by standing together bravely for our kids.
If you went to a place in your life where you needed help, who would you turn to get that help?
We need tools to help empower kids so they don't feel alone and afraid. It's important to us because we care about our children.
Without this program, our students might be able to follow a set of procedures, but they wouldn't necessarily feel safe and empowered. Every day in this world today is not an easy day to be a kid.
This has given us some really practical tools.
Having a community around the children, it makes so much sense.
If you can change one child, put into their life something that is practical, powerful, empowering, you have changed the cosmos. And we can do a better job than we've done. I mean, it's time. It's past time. Join us, please.
Okay, skipping ahead a little bit.
Hi everybody, I'm Pam Friedevelt, professional counselor and best-selling author, here with Christopher Bates, corporate consultant and business author. We equip parents to empower their kids to outwit and outmaneuver sneaky creeps and bullies. Now as parents, we know we can't control all the elements that impact our kids, but we can empower our kids to know what to do when dangerous people and situations come their way. So here's a question. Have you ever been separated from one of your kids in a store or at the mall or in a big public place and experienced the panic of not being able to find them? Or has one of your children ever just shut down emotionally, put up that wall, and not been able to talk about what was bothering them? Have you ever felt powerless to help your child open up and just kind of offload that burden? Me too. See, my husband and I raised 3 children, and boy, have we been there. We've been in the trenches with you, investing blood, sweat, and tears to help our kids reach their full potential. It's every parent's dream. And as a professional therapist for the last 25 years, I've walked with a lot of parents in their healing journey through hard and dark places. And I've seen and personally experienced the toll that trauma can take on a family. That's why Christopher and I spent several years researching and creating the Safe Empowered Child Core Training Series. See, we get it. We know parents are super busy these days. And they don't have a lot of time to research the best practices in the industry and then synthesize it down into fun, kid-friendly talks and games. That's why we've created this training that will make it super easy for you to create a family safety plan that will empower your kids to know what to do when danger strikes. Any of those situations that threaten their physical, emotional, or sexual safety. We package some of the most effective tools based on scientific research and best practices to save you time and money and shorten your learning curve and help you have fun with your kids while empowering them.
Just last weekend, I was camping with my wife and kids at a state park a couple hours from our home. And one night, the park rangers hosted a twilight nature walk to let us really listen and see, smell, feel the forest as it transitioned from the heat of the day to the nocturnal sounds and movement. It was great. Our kids were kind of tired from playing all day, but we really enjoyed being out on the trail with about a dozen other people, including several families we knew who are close friends of ours. These are allies around our kids and our family. The hike was great. The kids were totally alive and awake as the forest grew dark around us. The whole afraid of the dark boundary was pushed. Awesome experience. But what happened right after the hike literally sent chills up my spine, pushed my adrenaline to the max. See, we finished our walk watching a barred owl wake up and begin to hunt that night. When we said goodnight to the group and started back to the campsite, my 11-year-old daughter turned to my wife and me and said, "I need to tell you something. That tall man wearing the sweater around his neck tried to get me to go with him to his campsite." My wife and I were immediately on edge. I asked her to tell us exactly what he said and what she had said. She told us when we were walking between the river and a big group of cedar trees, he had come up alongside her, alone, and said, "You know, if you're scared, I can walk you back to the camp." And she responded to him by saying, "No, I'm fine, thank you," and he bugged off. Now, the freaky thing is, I was walking at the end of the group, kind of watching everyone as we moved through the forest on the trails, and I didn't even see this happen. Now, I tend to think I'm a pretty careful, vigilant person, and this guy slipped right past me. The protective dad snuck up on my daughter right in front of me. And who knows how that story might have turned out if my wife and I hadn't given our daughter clear instruction ahead of time on how to respond to a stranger and let all our kids know that they need to tell us immediately when something like this happens. So when my daughter told us this, she was immediately respected and affirmed by us. We listened, and we turned back right then to see if we could find the park ranger who had just finished leading the walk. Everybody was gone by the time we got back there, so we headed back to the camp for the night. But the next day we reported it to the same park ranger. She called the police. They dealt with the situation as the local authorities. I also used it as a positive teaching moment with my daughter to remind her that she needs to tell us sooner rather than waiting when something like this happens. But to be totally honest with you, it's a pretty good thing I didn't get a chance to go face to face with that guy right then. I was not in a good mood. See, I study self-defense. I am aware and trained to protect myself and my kids. But like you, I walk a fine line when it comes to preparing my kids to stay safe. I don't want to scare them or introduce a disturbing scenario or idea. And that's why Pam and I have dedicated ourselves to working with people like you to equip you with lighthearted, easygoing, practical, but very effective tools to help you have these conversations with your children. To teach them to trust their gut. Teach them to have a strong voice. Teach them to tell someone when something happens and not to hide in shame. To show them that they're loved and respected as people, that they can be strong and that's cool. That they're surrounded by a group of strong allies who are ready to protect them and keep them safe at any time. If I had been a safe, empowered child, my adulthood would be much easier. No.
Okay, we're going to stop it there. So, tonight we thought we would just start out with conflict. How do we solve conflict? Because I feel like if we have a good, trusting relationship with our kids, then we could do what his daughter did and be able to come up to us and say, hey, this was kind of disturbing, Dad. Like, I need to tell you something. And kids feel safe and, like you said, validated. And you move on and you protect them. But also they feel like, yeah, I could say things to my parents, I could say things to a safe adult that is a little disturbing. And I could be safe and continue on with life. So we're going to start with conflict today. And I'm going to have you participate a little bit in a little activity. So I'm going to pass out some sticky notes and some pencils and pens pretty soon. And if I could, Mr. Johnson, would you mind? Thank you. One or two of these, everybody. Thank you. So as materials are being passed out, picked up their own paper. So let me share with you what you're going to do. You're going to share a conflict with somebody as you and you're going to introduce yourself. But let me share a conflict that I had in my life. So I was working at this. It was a power company over in Oregon. It was Indiana. It was Oregon Power and Light. And I worked at this company. It was a call center. So people would call in and ask about energy. How do I get really energy efficient lights? And I did insurance. So they would call in and say, hey, I have this insurance for my water heater. My water heater broke. I need to fix it. Can you help me fix it? And I'd call a plumber for them. So, and it was all covered under their electricity bill. But for a couple weeks, one of my partners, he didn't want to talk to this customer. The customer came on angry on the phone, and he was yelling. And my partner on the phone, he didn't want to talk to the guy. The guy's water heater didn't have the exact insurance that he was supposed to have. I don't know if you've ever dealt with that, but you call the insurance company and say, hey, can you fix my house or can you fix my car? And they say, you know, that part's just not covered. Well, it makes you kind of upset when you've been paying all these years for it. Well, this guy had been paying all these years, and this particular part was not covered, so he was upset, understandably so. But my partner didn't want to explain that to him very well. And he just said, it's my lunchtime, I'll see you for 2 weeks. The guy would call in almost every day, and my partner would see his phone number, and he would go on break, or he would take off. And after a couple times of the guy leaving messages and him not wanting to call back, the guy was really super angry. Finally, he got a hold of somebody, and got a hold of the manager. Well, it was only a group of 8 of us there in this little call center, and my manager. And my manager comes up to me after 2 weeks of letting this guy sit with no hot water, pretty angry, supposed to have insurance, didn't cover this thing, he had water leaking all over his house for 2 weeks. And my manager comes up to me and says, hey, you know what, I need you to call this guy and fix it. Do whatever it takes, just fix it. It wasn't my job. My job was something else. He wasn't my customer. And I knew it was coming though. My other guys at my table said, hey, the manager could have asked you to do this. And I was already angry because of the possibility. So when he knelt down to me, I lost my cool. I totally lost my cool. No, I'm not going to do it. I slammed my fist down on my computer desk. Not a good idea. And I yelled at my manager. He was right there in front of my face, and I was screaming at him. And I'm not going to do it. And he did the best thing somebody in that position could do. He stood up, and he walked away. And he went into his office, shut the door, saw him lock the door. And I was left there with, okay, I'm going to school, I have a family, I have this job, don't have time to find another job. Am I going to do what my manager tells me to do, or am I going to get fired for this, or screaming at the manager and not doing my job? So, after breathing for about 5 minutes, okay, dial the number, and listen to the guy yell at me for at least 10 minutes, just screaming at me. Like, I'm not the guy, but I'll help you out. And I knew that was going to happen. I was going to be yelled at on the phone for, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and that's why I was so mad at the beginning. So that was my example of a conflict. My conflict with the manager. I had a conflict with my son last night. I don't know if you ever had put your kids to bed, go there in bed, go down to finish up the dishes or whatever, and he's up again. Go to bed. I finally go upstairs, go to bed, and he comes in, Papa, go to bed. And so he goes to bed crying, like, Papa doesn't love me. I'm like, no, I just want you to mind the first time. So, you have those little conflicts with your children, and you have those big conflicts either with your children or with people at work. But how do we solve those conflicts? So what I'd like you to do, I'm going to put up a conflict here on the board, and I'd like you guys to just think about it and then write down how you would solve the conflict on a piece of paper. And then we're going to put all those pieces of papers, you can send your kids up, you can come up, you can stick your piece of papers on this board right here, either sticky notes, or if you have a note card, I have tape right here, put it on. Spelling does not count, don't worry about that, I'm an awful speller myself, so just do the best you can, stick up there. Kids, if you want to say how you would solve the conflict, go for it, that would be great. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger here.
I'm going to go ahead and read it. You are working with a partner to complete a major project. You respect your partner's intelligence and are happy you were paired with her. You split up the task and begin your work. Every few minutes, your partner seems to be looking over your shoulder. After a little while, your partner begins making comments about your work. She is continually suggesting that you change your work to how she thinks it should be done. Eventually, it seems like she is trying to take over the project. You know she can do a good job, and you want a good report, but you want to have some input as well. What do you say or do?
So, how do you solve a conflict? Write it down on your piece of paper if you would, please. You don't need to share with anybody right now, other than maybe the kids sitting next to you.
I should be like crawling under a table.
We have several different solutions. I think that when you do something like going to the fact I will like it, so he wants to work as a group still. Another one, simply tell her that I would like to collaborate a little bit. This person says, you know what, I just won't say anything. This one, either tell her how I feel about it and maybe continue, or if all else fails, I'd go to the teacher and ask. So, some solutions. In any conflict, there's at least two people. And so I'm gonna put this up here. A way to think about conflict, about how to solve a conflict, you can think about rev, like you're revving up to, I'm gonna get this thing solved. First one is reflect. Second one is empathize. Third is validate. And then you can find solutions. So think about rev. We're going to get that into a moment. But first, I handed out a bunch more. That's really bad English. I'm tired. And when I get tired, I use awful English. So I'm trying to again. I handed out some more scenarios. If you guys could look at those and talk amongst your group, I'm going to have people share out what they think. What would you do? So after you read the conflict, think about what we do, talk to your group, the people around you, and then we'll have you share what the conflict was with the entire group and come up with whatever solution you have. All right, we're gonna spend like 3 minutes on this, and then we're gonna close for the evening. So 3 minutes, share with your group, ready to go. So with this idea of solving problems, reflect is just a way to kind of show the other person that you're listening. So you face them, you have eye contact with them, and then you repeat back what they're saying. So if they say, like Donovan said, Dad, I hear you saying that you're not going to let me go with my friends because it's too loud. I apologize. So he's repeating back what his dad said in that scenario. So you show them that you're listening, and then you repeat back so you're sure you hear it right. Then empathize is just trying to feel what they're feeling. So if the person that has mustard on their shirt is maybe embarrassed and they get teased, maybe another person would say, you know what, that would be a little embarrassing to me if somebody teased me because my shirt's dirty. Are you embarrassed by that? Just show them, ask them if that's the way they're feeling, or if they're close. You can say, would that be kind of like what you're feeling? That just shows them that you're caring. And then the last part is validate. You just say, you know what, that's a perfectly valid feeling. You should probably be feeling that way. The kids that I meet with here at school, sometimes they're upset about something, sometimes they get really upset. And oftentimes, after I listen to their story, I say, wow, I'd be upset too. That was not right. Somebody should push you in line. That's not right. People should push. Just validate what they're feeling. Because feelings need to be validated. So I'm going to give you a few things. Since you were here with us tonight, the Safe and Empowered Child company has given us permission to give you guys something. Now, usually that is, well, for me and my family, I think it's pretty expensive. It's $100, $125, something like that, to watch their videos. They have like 10 or more videos, and they have talks that you can do with your kids, games, activities you can do with your kids, and just some prep work. They have some information for the parents to think about before they talk to their kids. But because you're here, it's all free for you. So me and Mrs. Miller met with the person this last summer, and we were talking, hey, this is what we want to do at school. And he said, you know what? We're going to give it to you guys for free. Any parent that comes and listens to the information, wants to participate, it's all free for you. So some information is being passed out. Mr. Johnson, would you mind? So, Ms. Cowan is passing out some just the 3 steps that the Safe Empowered Child uses. It's play, plan, and protect. How to get your kids safe. And then Mr. Johnson is passing out the 10 sessions, the 10 lessons that are provided on this website. I am going to need for you guys, though, because I have to give you a special password. Everybody that wants to do this, that pays for it, gets a password. But to give you guys a password, I do need your email address so I can email you the password, because I have to get it from the company. They're not going to send you anything. But I'll just send you the password so you have access to it at home, library, here at school. So please, thank you. Please, you can come and sign your name in a minute, not right now. I also have Kid Talks. This is the information about Rev, how to solve conflicts. Nicely, so everybody feels validated, so everybody feels safe, so everybody feels like, yeah, somebody understands how I feel about this situation. And then almost lastly, Mr. Johnson, would you mind? I know it's a lot of paperwork. Mr. Johnson passing out a survey. One of the things that we said we do for the company is just get your honest opinion. So if you thought this night was a waste of time, then really just say, you know what, it wasn't for me. If you thought the video was great, but the activity could have been better, then just circle what you need to circle there. And all I'm going to do is look at all that information and pass on an email to my friend Christopher that was on the video and let him know how he could change things around to make it better for parents, to make it better for students.